For number 13 and 14, they're similar, so I'm going to do both of them together. They include similar concepts. So for 13, the first thing we need to realize is that they're talking about this big arc here, this small arc, and the angle that is created. So for this problem, we're going to need to use the formula big arc minus small arc divided by 2 equals the angle, or the angle measure. So here I've got my big arc being 124 minus the small arc, which is y, divide that by 2, and that's equal to the angle they gave me, which is 40. In order to solve this problem, oh, by the way, I'm starting with y. I'll do w in a second. So in order to solve this problem, I need to multiply both sides by 2 so that I can cancel out that 2 in the denominator of my fraction. So I get 124 minus y equals 80, 40 times 2. Make sure you're remembering to do it to both sides. Then from there, there's a couple ways that you can do it. You can subtract 124 from both sides. And when I do 80 minus 124, that gives me negative 44. So that becomes negative 44. And at this point, you should be saying, but wait, how can I have a negative arc measure? Keep in mind, everything follows down. This is a negative y. So negative y equals negative 44, which means if I divide by negative 1, then I know that y will be 44 degrees. Now, if I know y is 44 degrees, I'm going to go ahead and already mark my picture. I'm going to say that this is 44 degrees. Now, they tell me right here that this arc, this chord and this chord are congruent. Remember, when we have congruent chords, it creates congruent arcs. So if this is W, this is also going to be W. From there, we know that an entire circle, if I add all the arcs together, is going to be 360. So I can add up all of the arcs that I have, set it equal to 360, and then solve for W. So I can say 124 plus W plus 44, since we know that it's 44, not Y, plus another W is going to be equal to 360. So now W and W are on the same side of the equation, so I can add those together to get 2W. And 44 and 124 are also on the same side of the equation, so I can add those together. So 168 plus 2W equals 360. I'll subtract 168 from both sides. I'll get 360 minus 168. And I'll get 2W equals 192. Divide both sides by 2. Sorry, I'm getting kind of far down here. And I get that this is 96 degrees, and this one will also be 96 degrees. I can always go around and check, and I can say 96 plus 124 plus 96 plus 44 gives me 360, so I'm good to go. Number 14 uses similar concepts. It tells me that I have two chords that are congruent to one another. So if those chords are congruent, they're the same. So I can say both of them are X, or Y, Z, M, Q, whatever. If there was already an X in this equation, I could not use X again, because the X that they would use would have a specific variable, or specific value, where these do not. So use a variable that they haven't used already. Now, we're trying to find the measure of arc RT. So we are solving for X. So what I could do is you could either do 360 minus 220, then divide by 2. Or if you like to write it all out, you can say 220 plus X equals 360. Or 220 plus 2X equals 360. Then subtract 220, and you get 2X equals 140. Divide by 2 on both sides, and you get that it is equal to 70 degrees. You can always go back and double check. 70 plus 70 is 140, plus 220 is 360. That's an entire circle. So then you're good.